Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nak, and we're going to go over our practice exam number 3. This exam will cover chapter 11.1 through 11.4 and 12.6 in Sullivan's textbook. Alright, so let's just get started on number 1. Find an equation of the circle that satisfies the given conditions. Endpoints of a diameter are negative 5,2 and negative 9,6. Sketch the graph. Label the given points, the center, and 4 additional points. You know what? I just changed my mind. Just give me 2 additional points. I think that should be enough. All right, even on the exam. All right, so then let's draw out the situation and see what's going on. Let me see, negative 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have to go 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 1, 2, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. Okay, let me label this as negative 5, 2. And then negative 9, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe that's over here. Okay, so this is negative 9, 6. And here is the diameter. Now, to get the center of the circle, that's nothing but a midpoint of this line segment. So what we need to do is, of course, find that midpoint. Let me write down the formula. That's x1 plus x2 all over 2. And then y1 plus y2 whole thing over 2. So looks like this is going to be what, negative 5 comma negative 9 over 2. So that's going to be the x coordinate of the midpoint. And then 2 plus 6 whole thing over 2. And that's going to be the y coordinate of the midpoint, which is going to be the center. So it looks like we're going to have what, negative 7 comma 4 as a center. Let me box that. So here what we're going to get is negative 7 comma 4. Okay, so let me just write it in the answer box. Okay, now let's talk about the radius. Okay, radius is nothing but the distance from the center to one of the endpoints on the diameter. So I'm just going to take negative 5, 2 as the second point. And then what we need to do now is what? Compute the distance between center to that point. So distance formula is given by square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, whole thing square rooted. Okay, so I'm just going to plug in these values. So here you're going to have negative 5 plus 7 squared plus 2 minus 4 squared, whole thing square rooted. So what do we get? 2 squared plus negative 2 whole quantity squared. So it looks like we're going to have square root of 8, which is 2 root 2. Okay, so we got the distance from the center to negative 5, 2 is 2 root 2. So our radius is going to be that value. So let me just write it out on the answer box. Okay, now let's talk about the equation. Equation of the circle in standard form is given by x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. You're going to have to memorize the midpoint, distance, and equation of the circle formulas. Okay, now let's plug it in. Since the midpoint was the center, it's given by h comma k, so our negative 7 is going to be the h, k is 4. Keep that in mind. Now let's plug them in. So here it looks like x minus minus 7, so it's plus 7 squared, plus y minus 4 squared equals r squared. So radius squared is going to be 8. Okay, now before I forget, let me draw that circle. That does not even look like a circle, but pretend that that's a circle, please. Okay, now let's get the 2 additional points. So let's take a look at the equation. Now notice that when y equals to 4, y minus 4 squared is going to become 0. So it's easier for me to compute to get the x value. So let me just take for the extra 2 points, y equals to 4. So when y equals to 4, our equation of the circle becomes x plus 7 squared equals to 8. Taking the square root on the both sides, you're going to have plus or minus square root of 8. So it looks like the x-coordinate is going to be negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 8. Yes, I know, square root of 8 is 2 root 2, but let me just if you want me to rewrite it, that's fine. So it's negative 7 plus or minus 2 root 2. Okay, so it looks like our additional points, let me just go over here. Additional points. It looks like when x is negative 7 and then plus 2 root 2, comma, 4, and negative 7 minus 2 root 2, comma, 4. Okay, so type it in the calculator. Just get approximate value to make sure that you're doing this correctly. So here, if you type it in the calculator, it's approximately 4.2, comma, 4. And then this one is going to be negative 9.8, comma, 4, approximately. Okay, so let me just jot these out. I'll put it in blue. So when y equals to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's not too bad. Those 2 points are given by the intersection of the line y equals to 4 on us and a circle. So looks like the points here, and then another point will be right here. Okay, so now let's see which one would make sense. It looks like negative 9.8 comma 4 will be on the left hand side. So let me just, sorry, this is getting all crowded. So this point right here is negative 7 minus 2 root 2 comma 4. And this point right here is going to be negative 7 plus 2 root 2, comma, 4. Okay, there you have it. Okay, number 2, find the equation of the parabola with vertex at 4, comma, negative 2 and focus at 6, comma, negative 2. So let me just draw out the situation and see what's going on. So pretend that's negative 2, and this is 4, and then maybe this is 6. Totally drawn off the scale. Anyways, all right, 4 comma negative 2 will be right here. Now this is going to be our vertex. Okay, now the focus is at 6 comma negative 2. Okay, so it looks like this parabola is going to open towards the right because focus have to lay inside of the parabola. So it looks like the rough sketch of it, I mean, I didn't ask you to sketch this, but it helps me to understand what's going on. So let me just draw a rough graph like this. Hey, that's pretty good. All right, so anyways, okay, so now let's look at the formula sheet. You will be given the conic sheet, so you can just look at it anytime you like. So it looks like since it opens towards right, the equation that we need to use is y minus k squared equals 4a x minus h. Okay, so now since vertex is given by h comma k, which is 4 comma negative 2. Now let's get the little a. Now a is nothing but a distance from vertex to focus. So let me just write it as v to f, vertex to focus. So it looks like our a is going to be vertex to focus 6 minus 4, so it's 2. Okay, so let me see. Now let's write the equation out. So it looks like we're going to have y minus minus 2, so plus 2 squared equals 4 times a, which is 4 times 2. We're going to have 8, and then x minus 4. Okay, so that's the answer. Okay, number 3, find an equation of an ellipse with centered at 2, negative 3, focus at 3, negative 3, and vertex at 5, negative 3. So it looks like all the points lie on the line y equals to negative 3. That means what? The major axis must be parallel to the x-axis. Keeping that in mind, so let's work it. All right, so the center is given by h, k. So this is going to be 2, negative 3. So it looks like h is 2, and then our k is negative 3. Okay, now let's look at, let me just box this. Okay, now a, little a, is nothing but a distance from center to vertex. So again, a is distance from vertex, center to vertex. So center to vertex. Okay, so it looks like what? A must equal to 3. Okay, so let me just draw out and see what's going on here. So let's see. Okay, so center, it's gonna be, maybe this will be the center, 2, negative 3. And then focus is at 3, negative 3. And then vertex is going to be 5, negative 3. So that's vertex. And this is focus. And this is going to be the center. So again, as I mentioned, the major axis is going to be parallel to the x-axis. Okay, so now since that's the center, that's the vertex over there, so maybe it's going to go to maybe negative 1 up in here. Okay, so it looks like this is going to be the longer axis. All right, so now let's keep going. Oops. All right, so we got A equals to 3. Now C is the distance. That C is not for the center. C is the distance from center to focus. Okay, so it looks like what? Our C is going to be 1. Okay, now since we got our A and a C, we should be able to get the value for B. So let me just write it out. So note that B squared equals A squared minus C squared, which is going to be A is 3, so it's 9 minus 1. So it's going to be 8. So it looks like our B is going to be, let me see, 2 root 2. Okay, so now what? The equation that we're gonna have to use is, since the major axis is parallel to the x-axis, it looks like we're gonna have to use what? X minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared, whole thing over b squared equals to 1, where a is greater than b. Okay, so let's put it together. So the equation looks like what? X minus 2 squared, whole thing over a is 3, so 3 squared is 9, plus y minus minus 3 plus 3 squared all over 8 equals 1. Okay, so it looks like that is going to be the equation of an ellipse. So since I drew this out, let me just go like this. So this is the rough sketch of an ellipse. That looks nothing like an ellipse, but okay, I just give the rough sketch of it. Okay, so there it is. Okay, number 4, the equation of a conic is given in general form is that. Write the equation in standard form. So in order to write this in standard form, you're gonna have to complete the square. So let's do that. So let me work this step by step. So let me just write it as 9x squared minus 18x. I'm going to leave a little room. And then, well, actually, I don't need to. Plus 4y squared plus 16y minus 11 equals to 0. So if I want to complete the square on the x, factor out the 9. Then here you're going to have what? X squared minus 2x. Leave a little room now because we're going to be adding in some quantity and subtracting the same quantity. And if you're going to complete the square on the y, factor out the 4. Here you're going to have y squared plus 4y. And again, leave a little room and minus 11 equals to 0. Okay, now in order to complete the square, you got to divide this middle number by 2. You get negative 1. You're going to add in the square of that, so you're going to go plus 1. But if you're going to add plus 1, you better subtract 1. In the bracket, by the way. Okay, now let me just complete the square on this. So what we got so far is x minus 1 squared minus 1. Okay, now let's complete the square on the y. You're going to play the same game. Divide this number by 2, you get positive 2. What goes in here is positive 2 squared, which is plus 4. But if you're going to add in the 4, you better subtract the 4. Okay, now if I write this nicely, this is going to be 4. And then x plus 2 squared minus 4. And looks like minus 11 equals 0. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is distribute the 9 and a 4 into the each of the brackets. So here what we're going to get is 9 x minus 1 squared minus 9 plus 4 x plus 2 squared minus 16 minus 11 equals to 0. Now bringing all the constant on the right hand side, it looks like our equation is going to look like 9 x minus 1 squared plus 4 x plus 2 squared equals 36. Okay, now in order to write this out, we're going to have to divide everything by 36. Looks like it's going to be an ellipse. Oops, did I put x instead of a y? Sorry about that. So this should be a y. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so dividing by 36. Okay, it looks like what we're going to get is what? X minus 1 squared over 4 plus y plus 2 squared over 9 equals to 1. Okay, so this is going to be an ellipse. Let me write copy and paste. All right, here's the equation. Type of the conic, an ellipse. Okay, now we have to determine A's and B's and C's. Okay, so note that here our 4 is going to be the B squared. So this is going to be the B squared. And this is going to be the A squared. Okay. So now let's get A's and B's and C's. So it looks like, let me see. If you look at the formula sheet, a should be what? 3? Oh, I mean, you just can look at the a squared equals to 9, so a better be 3. B better be 2. Now, to find c, let's use this formula. C squared equals a squared minus b squared, which is 9 minus 4, which is going to be 5. So it looks like our c is going to be square root of 5. Okay. Now, let me see. Center is going to be 1 comma negative 2. Okay, now the foci is, the formula for that is what? Let me see. Let me write it on the left-hand side. It's what? H, comma, k plus or minus c. Okay, so it looks like what we got is 1 comma negative 2 plus root 5 and 1 comma negative 2 minus root 5. Okay, now let's go with the vertices. The formula for the vertices, if you look at the formula sheet, I believe it's h comma k plus or minus a. So it looks like, let me see, let me just compute on the side. So you're gonna have what? H comma k plus or minus a. This is 1 comma negative 2 plus or minus 3. Okay, so let me just write the answer down here. So it looks like it's 1 comma negative 2 plus 3 is 1, and then 1 comma negative 2 minus 3 is minus 5. Okay, so let me just draw this out and see what is going on, because I need to find the co-vertices as well. Okay, so where can I draw this picture? Let me erase this portion so maybe I could squeeze in the graph here. Okay, so let me just draw my horrible picture. Okay, so let me just jot down the center. Center is what? 1 comma negative 2. So that's our center. Okay, and what? What we need to do is vertices is 1 comma 1 and 1 comma negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 comma negative 5. Okay. All right, and notice that, let me just pretend that's a straight line, please. Now notice that the distance from the center to your vertex is going to be 3. So distance from here to here is going to be 3. It comes from that a value. Now, co-vertices are going to be this way. Now, co-vertices comes from the value of b. So if b squared is 4, then what are we going to get there? B is going to be what? Minus 2. Hold on, let me just draw this out. So we're going to have to go 2 units this way. And then we're going to have to go 2 units that way. Oh my god, this is so drawn off the scale. But if you draw this nicely, what's going to happen is that these 2 points are going to be your co-vertices. This looks so off. Let me just fix it up a little bit. So let me go with 2 units that way. Does that look even? Okay. So it looks like if I'm going to go 2 units from here to here, this point is going to be what? 3 comma negative 2. So let me just jot down. 1, 2, 3. 3 comma negative 2. And if I go to the left, this looks like it's going to be what? Going to go 2 units to the left. So it looks like negative 1 comma negative 2. Okay, so that's going to be our co-vertices. So the picture, the ellipse, it's going to look something, oh my goodness. Okay, pretend that it is an ellipse. It's a tall ellipse, okay? So anyways, co-vertices, going to be -1, -2, and 3, -2. Geez, I need to take some art classes. All right, I hope you can tell this is going to be the tall ellipse. Okay, that's done with that one. Okay, number 5, write the given equation in standard form. Find the vertex, focus, directrix, latus rectum, and axis of symmetry of the parabola. All right, so guess what? We're going to have to complete the square again. We got y squared plus 2y. I'm going to leave a little room, and then minus x equals to 0. Now again, I'm going to divide the middle number by 2. You're going to have plus 1. Plus 1 squared is what? Plus 1, and then minus 1, if you want to do it that way, but that's the same thing as what? Adding plus 1 on this side. But anyways, if I complete the square on the y, we're going to have y plus 1 squared, and we have minus x equals to 1. Okay, now bringing on the x on the right hand side, we're going to get y plus 1 squared equals x plus 1, which is same thing as y minus 1 squared equals x minus 1. Guess I really didn't need to do that, but the whole point is this. You need to pick and choose which equation that you're going to use, and then you also need to find the value of a. So here, what I was trying to do was this. So this better equal to 4a times x plus 1. Okay, it looks like the coefficient on the x plus 1 is going to be 1. So that means that, so this needs to be 1. Okay, so we got 4a equals to 1. So value of a is going to be 1/4. Okay, now if I did that, let's compute the vertex of it. Now vertex is what? H comma k. So which is going to be -1 comma -1, because I can write this as x minus 1. Okay, and then the focus formula sheet says h plus a comma k. So this is going to be what? -1 plus 1/4 comma -1, which is what? -3/4. Is that right? Yeah, comma -1. So let me just start filling in the blanks here. So you got equation in standard form is y plus 1 squared equals x plus 1. And our vertex is going to be -1 comma -1. And we got our focus. Focus is what? -3/4 comma -1. Okay, so now let's go with the directrix. So the directrix, it's going to be the equation of a line, so which is x equals h minus a. So it looks like what? We're going to have -1 minus 1/4. So our equation of the directrix is going to be x equals -5/4. Let me just box all of that. Okay, so the directrix is x equals -5/4. Okay, now let's do the lattice rectum. Now how do you find the lattice rectum is this. You're going to have to set x equals to 0 and solve for y. Okay, so let me just write it on this side. Set x equals to 0 and solve for y. Okay, so if I did that, let me see what we're gonna get. Let me just work it up here so we have little room. So when x equals to 0, we're gonna have y plus 1 squared equals 0 plus 1. Okay, so then y plus 1 squared equals to 1. Taking the square root, here you're gonna have plus or minus square root of 1, which is 1. So y equals negative 1 plus or minus 1. Okay, so that implies that what? Either y is 0 or y is negative 2 when x is 0. So the latus rectum looks like it's going to be 0, 0 and 0, negative 2. All right, now moving right along, equation of the axis of symmetry. Now note that all the points are going to lie on y equals to negative 1. Okay, so the axis of symmetry, equations of it is going to be y equals to negative 1. But if you draw the picture, you'll see it right away. So let me just draw the picture. Let me see. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Our vertex is, where is my vertex? Negative 1, negative 1. And then the focus is going to be, what? Negative 3/4, comma, negative 1. Maybe right here. Sorry, it's getting tinier. So that's our focus. Okay, and then what? The directrix is x equals negative 5/4. So it looks like, let me just draw this. So that's directrix, which is x equals negative 5/4. Okay. Now, latus rectums are 0, 0. So it's right here. So this is latus rectum 0, 0. And then 0, negative 2. So let's pretend this is 0, negative 2. Okay, so it looks like our graph is going to look something like, gosh, like this. Like that. Okay, so as you can see, the equation of the axis of symmetry is nothing but y equals to negative 1. Okay, so let me just fill the answer box. Okay, here it is. Okay, number 6, given that equation, state what type of conic section is represented by the given equation. So notice that you have x something squared minus y something squared equals to 1. So if there is a minus in between of x and a y, that indicates that your conic is going to be a hyperbola. Okay, if it's a plus in between, then it's going to be an ellipse or circle. But anyways, type of conic is hyperbola. Okay, so you know that you got some work to do for hyperbola. Okay, so now which equation that you should take on the conic sheet? Notice that x comes first and then the y comes next after the minus sign. So the one that you need to use is x minus h squared over a squared, and then minus y minus k squared over b squared is 1. So it looks like our transverse axis is going to be parallel to the x-axis. Okay. All right, so keeping that in mind, and let's just work it. Okay, so it looks like our center, so center is given by h, k. Okay, so it looks like what center is going to be 2 comma negative 3. 2 comma negative 3. Okay, now let's go with the a's and b's and c's. So notice that a squared equals to 4. So the value of a must be 2. B squared is 9. So b must be 3. And how do you find c? Our equation is going to be, let me see, write it over here. I'm going to write it on the top, or maybe over here. So the c squared is what? A squared plus b squared. So this is going to be 4 plus 9, 13. So c is going to be square root of 13. Okay. Now let's go with the foci. So center was h comma k. Foci is what? H plus or minus c comma k. So if I did that, let's see, h is 2, so plus or minus square root of 13. So it looks like we're going to have 2 plus square root of 13 comma negative 3, and 2 minus square root of 13 comma negative 3. Okay, so which is, approximately equaling to, for the graphing purpose, this is what? Type it in the calculator. I think that's 5.6 maybe, approximately, and then what? Negative 3. And this one right here, it's going to be 2 minus square root of 13, maybe around negative 1.6, comma negative 3. Okay, now let's go with the vertices. Vertices formula is given by what? H plus or minus a, and then k. A was 2, h is what? 2. Okay, so it looks like our vertices is going to be 4 comma negative 3 and 0 comma negative 3. All right. Okay, equation of the asymptotes. Okay, so equation is going to look like, you know what, I'm kind of running out of room. So let me just work it over here. Okay, equation is going to be y minus k equals plus or minus b over a x minus h. Okay, so then we're going to have y plus 3 equals plus or minus 3 over 2 and then x minus 2. Okay, so now we got, let's simplify this to a slope-intercept form, so it might be easier for you to graph it. At least it's easier for me to graph it. So let me take the positive side of 3 halves, and I'm going to distribute that to x minus 2 and simplify. So here it looks like, taking the positive, we're going to have first one, looks like we're going to have y plus 3 equals 3 over 2x minus 3. So subtracting 3, you got 3 over 2x, and then what? Minus 6. Looks like that's going to be one of the equation of the asymptote. And the second one, I'm going to take the negative side of 3 half, distribute, and simplify. I'm going to have y plus 3 equals negative 3 over 2x, and then plus 3. Subtract 3 from both sides, and looks like we're going to have y equals negative 3 over 2x, and then plus 0. Okay, so we got y equals negative 3 over 2x, and then y equals 3 over 2x, and then minus 6. So the first one has a y-intercept of 0, and the second one has the y-intercept of negative 6. Okay, now the graphing. I am not the biggest fan of graphing, as you know, but let me do the best I can to graph this out. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's first jot down whatever we can. So let's go with the center. Center is 2 comma negative 3. Center 2 comma negative 3. And let's see, foci is approximately 5.6 comma negative 3. So 2, 3, 4, 5.6, maybe like right here, comma negative 3. So maybe here. So this one is 2 plus root 13 comma negative 3. And the other one is approximately where? Negative 1.6, so looks like maybe here, comma negative 3. So this is another foci is, so in this one, let me see, I need a little room to write this. So foci is 2 minus square root of 13 comma negative 3. Okay. Alrighty then, so now what do we got? The equation of the asymptotes. Oh, how about did I jot down the vertices yet? No, I have not jotted down the vertices. So let's go with vertices 4 comma negative 3. 2, 3, 4 comma negative 3. So that's, and then 0 comma negative 3. 0 comma negative 3. So this is, okay, so I got all those dots. Now let's go with the asymptotes. All right, the first one is what? Y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 0. So the y-intercept is 0. And we could go rise over run. So if I rise negative 3, run positive 2, it looks like we're going to have, pretend that's straight, please, an asymptote going this way. So this is our y equals negative 3 over 2, that's a 3, sorry, x. Okay, now let's go with the second one. The second one is y equals 3 over 2x minus 6, so the y-intercept is going to be negative 6. Let me just jot down 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we're gonna go rise over run. So rise 3, go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. Of course, it's gonna have to go through the center. So let me just try to draw this as nice as I can. Oh no. Okay. Okay, so this one is y equals 3 over 2x and then minus 6. Okay, so now let's draw the graph. So the graph is gonna look like, again, this is a rough sketch, so just please bear with me. I'm gonna try to do the best I can here. Oh my gosh. You get the idea. Okay, so the red curve is our hyperbola. Number 7, solve the system to find the points of intersection using the method of your choice. State what type of conic sections are represented by the given equations. Alright, so let's take a look at the first one. X squared plus y squared equals to 8. That's nothing but an equation of a circle centered at square root of 8, which is 2 root 2. So I'm going to write it as circle. Centered at 0, 0. And radius is 2 root 2. Okay. Now the type of conic for the second equation. Alright, so if I expand this, complete the square on the y, you should see this right away. So let me see, you got x squared and then plus y squared plus 4y equals to 0. Now do the same thing. I'm going to complete the square on the y, so divided by 2. So add 4, subtract 4. Okay, so it looks like what we're going to get here is what? Oh, I forgot the x. Looks like we're going to have x squared plus y plus 2 squared minus 4 equals to 0. So bring the 4 on the other side, and it looks like x squared plus y plus 2 squared equals to 4. So again, this is what? Equation of the circle centered at 0, negative 2, and the radius is going to be 2. So circle centered at 0, negative 2, and with the radius equaling to 2. All right, now we're done with identifying what kind of conic that we have for the both equations. Now let's solve it. Let me see. What I would do for this particular problem is, let's see, we got x squared and y squared matching up. So let's multiply it by negative 1 on the bottom equation. Okay, let me rewrite the system. Then you're going to have what? X squared plus y squared equals to 8. And then negative x squared minus y squared minus 4y equals to negative 1 times 0 is still 0. Okay, so what's going to happen is this is going to cancel out. So it looks like what we have left over is what? Negative 4y equals to 8. So that means what? Y is going to be negative 2. Okay, so we got the y value, then let's get the x value. It does not matter which equation that you're going to plug that y value in. So let me just take the top equation. So we got x squared plus y squared equals to 8. I'm going to use this one. So that implies that we're going to have x squared, what is that? Plus negative 2 squared equals to 8. So we got x squared plus 4 equals to 8. So we got x squared equals to 4. X is going to be plus or minus the square root of 4, which is going to be 2. Okay, so it looks like what we got is what? When y is negative 2, x is plus or minus 2. So you're going to have 2 comma negative 2 and negative 2 comma negative 2. And there you have it. Okay, number 8. Solve the system of linear equations. Okay, so let's just, there are a bunch of ways that I can think of doing, but you know what? This top equation, I think we can factor that. So let's see. I think this might be the easiest way out. So let me try to factor this out, the top equation. Now, if I did that, you're going to have what? Here you're going to have 2 parentheses equaling to 0. So you're going to have x and an x, and then minus, how about this, minus 2y, and then minus 1y equals to 0. Is that going to work? X squared minus 2xy minus 1xy plus 2y squared. Yeah, there you go. All right, so now I'm just going to go this way, and then so that implies that what? We got x minus 2y equals to 0, or x minus y equals to 0. So that implies that we're going to have either x equals to 2y or x equals to y. All right, so let me just box that. And you know what? If this method doesn't work, if it gets painful, we'll try to do something else. All right, so now what we're going to do is this. So when x equals to 2y, let's just take care of that one. When x equals to 2y, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into the second equation, which is x squared plus xy equals to 6. So let me just write it like a little bit above. So I'm going to use x squared plus xy equals to 6. Okay, so if I did that, then what do we get? 2y squared plus 2y times y equals to 6. It's 4y squared plus 2y squared equals to 6. So that means what? 6y squared equals to 6. Y squared equals to 1. Y is plus or minus 1. Okay, let me just box that. It may or may not be a solution. Okay, now let's go with for the x equals to y. All right, so when x equals to y, okay, I'm also going to plug this into that blue equation that I just drew above. So here we're going to have y squared plus another y squared equals to 6. So we got 2y squared equals to 6. So our y squared is 3. So y is going to be plus or minus the square root of 3. All right, so let me just box this. Okay, so now let's just, we got the y values. So now let's try to get all the possible x values. Okay, so to get x, okay, I'm going to take one thing at a time. So let's first go with, let's take y equals to 1 and see what the heck is going to happen. Okay, so what I'll do is this. I'm going to plug this into the top equation in factored form. Okay, so which will be, so let me just write down the equation that I'll be using. X minus 2y and then x minus y equals to 0. Okay, so I'm just going to use that one. So here, if I plug that in, what are we going to get? When y equals to 1, then here you're going to have x minus 2 and then x minus 1 equals to 0. So that means what? X equals to 2 or x equals to 1. So the possible ordered pair that we're going to get is when x is 1, y is 1. And then when x is 2, y is 1. All right, so let me just box this. Okay, now let's go with y equals to negative 1. Okay, using the same equation, here you're going to now have what? X plus 2. And then what? X, wait, hold on. X plus 2. And then what? X minus 1. So it's plus 1 equals to 0. So we got x equals negative 2. And then x equals to negative 1. So it looks like what we're going to get is when y equals to negative 1, our x is going to be negative 2 comma y is negative 1 and negative 1 comma negative 1. Okay, let me just box that. Okay, now what? Okay, y equals to root 3, positive root 3. Let's see what's going to happen. So here what we're going to get is what? X minus 2 root 3, x minus root 3 equals to 0. So that means x equals 2 root 3, or what? X equals square root of 3. So 2 root 3 comma root 3, and then root 3 comma root 3. Okay, so almost there. Y equals the negative square root of 3. Sorry, that's a negative right there. Okay. Then what we're going to get is what? X plus 2 root 3. X plus root 3 is going to go to 0. So x is negative 2 root 3. And then x is what? Negative root 3. So what can we get here? We got negative 2 root 3 comma negative root 3. And then negative root 3 comma negative root 3. I can already tell some are not going to be the solutions. So if you don't see which one's going to be the solution right away, just check. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check. Let's go in order here. So let's go with 1 comma 1. Okay, the equation that I'm going to use for this is, I'm just going to use this one. X squared plus xy equals to 6. Okay, so bottom equation, I'm just going to plug that in. So the question is, what is 1 squared, which is 1, plus 1 times 1, is it going to equal to 6? No. So guess what? This one is out. Okay, now let's check 2 comma 1. Okay, so now x squared, so is it 4 plus 2 times 1, which is 2, is it equal to 6? Yes. So it looks like 2 comma 1 is going to be the solution, one of the solutions I should say. And let's go with -2, -1. Okay, so -2, -1, again we're going to have 4 plus 2 equals to 6. Yes. Okay, so looks like -2 comma -1. We're gonna keep that one. All right, so let's go with -1 comma -1. So can you see that this is not going to be a solution already? So this is the same thing as what? 1 plus 1. Is it going to equal to 6? No. Okay, we can do this. So let me just go on this side, on the right hand side of it. So what's my next ordered pair that I need to check? Okay, 2 root 3 comma root 3. Okay, so if I did that, what are we gonna get here? X squared, so it's 2 root 3 squared, so it's what? 4 times 3, 12, plus 2 times root 3 times root 3 is 3. Goodness, that certainly does not equal to 6. Okay, so I'm just gonna toss this one out as well. Okay, now let's go with root 3, root 3. Okay, so if I square that, I'm gonna have 3 and what? Xy, x times y is 3. Is it gonna equal to 6? Yes. So we're gonna keep that one. So root 3, root 3. And do you see what's gonna happen for the last two ordered pairs? The first one's not gonna satisfy, but the second one should, because you're gonna be multiplying and squaring it. So, but I will show all the work for you. So -2 root 3 and then negative root 3. All right, this is not going to be a solution. Okay, so let's do this one, and then what do we going to get here? So 4 times 3 plus 2 times 3, that is so not equal to 6. So no, throw that one away. All right, last one, negative root 3, negative root 3. You should be able to see that this is going to be a solution. So you're going to have 3 plus 3. Is it going to be 6? Yes. So we keep that one. All right, so it looks like our solution set is going to be 2 comma 1, -2 comma -1, and what? Root 3 comma root 3, and negative root 3 comma negative square root of 3. Sorry, let me just box this so that you can tell which is the answer and which is the work. All right, there you have it. Okay, so, woo, we're done. Yay. Okay, so good luck on your test. And if you have any questions, or if I made some mistakes or something like that, please, as usual, let me know. Okay, bye.